Trump and this asshole and all this stuff he did. They can't see the bigger picture at play. They can't see the work that RFK wants to do. They can't see the corruption in big pharma and these food companies and politics in general that's plaguing you and me and our fucking country. Like, they can't see it because they're so emotional and they're so angry. Welcome back to another episode of the Unstoppable Mindset Podcast. I'm your host, Sean Michael Crane. Thank you guys for tuning in. I just had one of the most incredible experiences of my life attending Joe Polish's annual event for the Genius Network. If you don't know who Joe Polish is, Google him, follow him on Facebook, Instagram, Twitter, subscribe to his podcast. He's one of the most genuine, authentic, inspiring human beings I've ever met. And I'm grateful to call him a friend, a mentor, a collaborator. Like, I was very fortunate to be at his annual event. In that room were the most impactful and influential people in the world of business and entrepreneurship, really in the world. Man, I'm sitting next to best-selling authors, politicians, keynote speakers, world changers. It was just incredible the amount of people that I was able to meet. I heard so many intelligent, amazing speakers. We talked about everything from addiction recovery to AI in the future to health and wellness to this political movement that's taking place with RFK, Calley Means, Donald Trump. It was incredible. So it was all about getting in that room, soaking up all the information like a sponge, getting tapped into my truth and my creativity and coming home and then sharing these messages with the world. And what's interesting is a couple weeks ago, I started really following RFK. I started really following and listening to what he was saying about the poison in our food that we're feeding our children, the toxins in the environment. I started looking into all the facts and statistics to back up what he was saying. And then I found Casey and Calley Means, who are leading the charge right there with RFK, and they're incredible human beings. And they're doing the same thing. They're being very vocal about the corruption that's taking place in entities like the FDA, the CDC, the NIH, and how they're correlated to big pharma and the food that we're eating and just all this corruption. And they're doing something about it. They're here to make a change. They're fighting, they're standing. And now because Trump won, they're in a position where they can enact real change. So I got to see and hear all of these individuals speak. Calley Means spoke with RFK, okay? Jordan Peterson was there, Tucker Carlson. And it was incredible to sit there and listen to them speak live about why they're so passionate to help Americans, what they want to do to enact change, and just to really get to see them in person, And one of the coolest things was Calley Means said, and this is something that I felt and I've actually shared with people. I told people, like, there's something bigger at work here, man. This is God's work. I could feel it. I'm so connected to God's message and energy ever since I changed my life 12 years ago. And I just felt like something different was taking place here in our lives. With the election, I felt like it was good versus evil. I felt like so many people's lives are at stake, our children, this great country that we've been able to grow up in. And Calley Means said it. He's all, this is about raising the collective consciousness of America. And that's something that you hear a life coach or a speaker, a motivational speaker say, not a politician. And Calley Means isn't a politician. He's an advocate, but he spent a lot of time in D.C. around politicians. And he's right. It's about re-educating people and helping them to see the bigger picture. So many people are so hyper-focused and tunnel vision on Trump and this asshole and all this stuff he did. They can't see the bigger picture at play. They can't see the work that RFK wants to do. They can't see the corruption in big pharma and these food companies and politics in general that's plaguing you and me and our fucking country. Like, they can't see it because they're so emotional and they're so angry, right? So Casey Means is really smart, or Calley Means, I'm sorry. He said we have to raise the collective consciousness of our country. And then when RFK spoke, he's sharing all this stuff about his past, all these things that he's done to improve the quality of his life. And it was really cool, He said, I do three things. RFK said, I do three things every day, no matter what. He said, I work out in the morning, I meditate, and I go to a 12-step meeting. And Joe Polish goes, wow, that's pretty incredible. I've never, I don't think in the history, heard of a presidential candidate who talks about personal development. Like, these guys are life coaches who are now going to be running our country. These are people who deeply care about you and your children. These are people and men and women of faith, and they're tapped into something special that's taking place here. And they all said it in different ways. They talked about this being a spiritual awakening. There's something spiritual happening here. And then when Jordan Peterson spoke, he said the same thing. And Jordan Peterson is a very, very intelligent and complicated individual. And I was joking with some people who I was sitting with. I go, man, I've never heard somebody break down simple concepts in such a complicated way. Like Jordan Peterson will take a concept or a conversation and unravel it till there's nothing left to disseminate, right? But he's brilliant. And one of the things he said to the audience, he goes, look, this is an internal battle. This is good versus evil. That's the journey that you're all on. You can't change who's in office right now. You can't change these things. That's what these guys are here to do. But you can change the way that you operate. And this is something that I've preached ever since I changed my life. And it's something that you hear a lot of high-level people talking about. It's the internal battle. It's who you want to be versus who you settled for. It's the decisions that you know are going to lead you to this life versus the decisions that you make to keep you stuck. And he described it in a very simple way. He said, you're always making sacrifice. Everything that you do is a sacrifice. It's a sacrifice of time. It's a sacrifice based on the conversation or person you're with. It's a sacrifice no matter how you look at it. So you either sacrifice sleep to go to the gym, or you sacrifice going to the gym for extra sleep. You sacrifice, that healthy meal for the unhealthy meal. You sacrifice time with a loved one versus time on a coaching call. You sacrifice time at work versus time with your family. Whatever you're doing, you're sacrificing time. I mean, I was there at the Genius Network in Arizona for 3 days. I'm sacrificing time with my babies, with my wife. I'm sacrificing time here at home to be there learning and absorbing this message. And so what I want to share with you is you're always sacrificing. Just get that straight. Like, you're never going to have a life where you aren't sacrificing and you're not suffering to some extent because of those choices. Make sure that the sacrifice is worth it. Make sure when you look yourself in the mirror and you get to the end of your life, those decisions counted for something. Those decisions led to a life that you are proud of. Those decisions have meaning, because too many people make sacrifices that are futile. They make sacrifices and they look down at their lives later on and down the road, and they're unfulfilled. They didn't grow into the person they could have been. They didn't reach enlightenment. They didn't make an impact. They didn't leave a legacy behind. They weren't tapped in on that spiritual level. You guys, this journey is special and precious. And if you're overlooking it and taking it for granted, you're not going to be able to feel the way you want. You're not going to get what you want. You're not going to be able to experience what you want in this life. And so hearing these high-level speakers iterate a message that I often share and talk about things that I'm passionate about, I love, because it shows me that I'm tapped in and I'm in alignment. And when you get in alignment, you start to gravitate towards people who operate at that frequency, whether it's the way they speak, the things they're passionate about, the mission they're on. There's a magnetic thing that takes place. The law of attraction is real. And so I'm just so fired up and I'm more optimistic about the future of our country than ever before. I heard Zach Cass talk about AI and the positive effects on AI in the future to heal people, to ease human suffering, to just really elevate the collective consciousness of humans and give us all these resources. I heard Callie Means talk about health and make America healthy again with RFK and what they're going to do day one in office and how they're going to completely get rid of all the toxic, negative people, all the corruption in DC and put the right people in place. And then I heard Jordan Peterson talk about the deeper implications, the spiritual journey, the fight that we all have to face internally. And then Tucker Carlson, who is really funny and very honest. And they all spoke about just wanting the truth to be transparent for the American people and for us not to be lied to anymore and for us to come together and unite to make sure our children are healthy, to make sure we all, get the opportunities and resources we deserve, to make sure that there's justice, to make sure, that things are done the right way because they've been done the wrong way for so long. And so it was a beautiful experience, man, being in that room and looking around and just seeing all the most successful, influential people I've ever been around. Collectively in that room, there was probably tens or hundreds of billions of dollars in revenue, inventions, country, world leaders. Like, it was incredible. And so I just want to give a shout out to Joe Polish. You guys got to follow him, subscribe to his podcast. He's putting out some powerful messages, and he's really making a difference in this world. So thank you, Joe, for having me at the Genius Network, and to all the speakers and everyone that shared their truth and showed up and delivered the way they did. Thank you for the constant inspiration, and I'm here. I'm going to do my part. I'm going to share your content. I'm going to pour my heart and soul into my content, and I'm excited for the future of America and what we can do together.